gone.
Right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and I've got like a lot to say, but I'm not really going to say a lot as well, if I'm honest. Okay, I'm going to speak a lot, but I'm probably not going to say much. So I'm just warning you that ahead of time. I always like to keep it as honest and as real as possible. First of all, had some people say, "Did I sell out and activate Windows?" No, I didn't. Okay, it's right there. All that happens is I use OBS, and sometimes instead of have display capture, I set it to window capture. If I set it to window capture, it only captures the browser. And if it only captures the browser, it does not capture the watermark at the bottom right. But no, I did not sell out. I did not activate my Windows. Okay, I just switched to screen recording. It's just a bit cleaner and you don't get the taskbar and stuff down the bottom. So that's the first thing. The next thing is I owe you a second apology. Okay, when I went live and popped a cork at the GBP all-time high break, I actually marked the short-term top and we didn't clear the all-time high. Then we went live yesterday and tried to celebrate a new all-time high for Bitcoin. We did briefly poke above it, although I missed it. And then Bitcoin obviously takes a fat dump. Sorry about that. At least I didn't pop a second cork, but I am 2 for 2 at marking tops with live stream all-time high parties. So we did indeed print a fresh all-time high on some exchanges, but we then immediately fell 10%. The mainstream media is, however, covering this in more and more detail. We can see this in more and more places. So they are going to start to ring the bell, right? They're going to start to bring in the masses. They are going to start to ring the bell as we print higher and higher highs. And eventually the herd is going to arrive. Greed is going to proliferate. And I will once again become a contrarian. But the time is not yet. The herd can be right in the middle for a while. That's where we are. So of course the question on everyone's mind is, was that the double top, right? Pack it up, bull market over. Obviously, I don't think that is likely, okay? Obviously, that is probably not the case. There will be some people that are hoping and praying they can buy lower Bitcoin prices. But of course, the irony is, if Bitcoin is to dip significantly, those people will suddenly become bearish and scared, and they won't actually take advantage of the dip anyway. There were some obvious signs, in hindsight, if I think about it, that we were going to see a bit of a shakeout, a bit of a leverage flush yesterday. Now, during the live stream, I had people saying things like, Bitcoin is crashing, okay? Bitcoin is taking a massive dump. That's it. It's over, right? I had people showing real signs of fear. People were messaging me in all caps in the live chat to say, please check the miners. Miners are dumping. Miners are crashing, right? And really, this is what we were seeing, okay? This tiny little bit of the hard right edge. And I was saying over and over again, guys, like, we're looking at two different things here. How do you define something as crashing when at the time as well, we hadn't dropped 10%. We've gone from 69 to 67, 68K, right? And people were saying, oh, it's crashing, it's crashing, it's crashing. This is what was going on. And I'm speaking here not to be patronizing, not to be condescending. And I know I'm not having to say this to most of you, okay? But to the newer guys, to the younger guys, I'm speaking as Uncle Camel here, okay? If you interpret something like this as a crash, it tells me a number of things. It tells me, 1, you have too much leverage. 2, you FOMO'd in at the top. And 3, there's only one path from here, and that is that you are going to get taken out of your position before the market continues to move higher. People that got in lower down were not sweating this pullback, even when it was a 10% pullback at its worst. No one really cared because they should have got in and got a position way, way, way lower down. I also pulled up this chart of MicroStrategy during the live stream, and I was saying about perhaps taking a chunk off if we get a true trendline breakdown and adding it back at the next 60-day cycle low. And in hindsight, there was some... There were some obvious signs, okay, that things are getting way, way, way too overbought and way too overextended, because I had several people comment on my YouTube videos and message me to say I was literally stupid. I was literally an idiot for suggesting to take a chunk off here, even though I bought a long-term allocation at the lows and have added 2 lightly leveraged positions and are now sitting in something ridiculous, something absurd, right? Times 6 times leverage, okay, excluding my core allocation that I got spot down the bottom, Okay, 3 times leverage, 3 times leverage. You do the maths. And apparently I'm an idiot for suggesting to perhaps take a chunk off here if we violate this third angle. Okay, that's how greedy the market has become. Okay, apparently I'm an idiot for wanting to lock in some gains. Okay, so I say this not to be dunking on anyone. I'm just trying to say, if you're using too much leverage, okay, if you interpret this as a crash, if you think that I'm an idiot for suggesting to take a chunk of my profit off here and wait for this thing to cool down a little bit, if you're one of these people that subscribes to $5,000 micro strategy, okay, I hate to break it to you, okay, I'm super bullish. Believe me, I've been the most bullish out there. I was calling for an all-time high when we were at the lows, and I was calling for an all-time high before the halving. I've been the most bullish person out there. But even I am not so bullish to say we just go straight from here to 5K with no pullback. That is unreasonable. That's completely unreasonable and delusional. If we break down from this trend line, then I probably will take a chunk off. And I'm not going to say sorry for that. And if it moves against me and continues higher, that's fine, okay? There's nothing wrong with nailing down some gains. And if you think there is, then you're just not going to make it in this space, okay? So check your emotions, check your greed, and you do you. If you don't want to take profit, that's on you, okay? But never judge a man for getting in underneath these trades, right? Letting these things ride and then taking a chunk off, okay? I got to get paid somehow, right? I've got to pay myself, and there's nothing wrong with paying myself, particularly after such a massive move. Down here, if I was paying myself here, you could make the argument that is too early. But when we are right up in this neighborhood, this is certainly not too early to be taking profit, okay? With that said, I also made it very clear in the live stream yesterday, because people were saying, that's it, it's broken down on the trend line and blah, blah, blah. I said, look, the daily close is what matters. We always want to give it some space. Relax. Wait and see the close. Wait and see the next day's candle. Now, if we do something like this, right, reject, roll over, then there's nothing wrong with taking a bit of profit, waiting for that 60-day cycle low and a trend line touch, and then looking to go again. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But equally, that was quite likely a shakeout in Bitcoin. This has a good chance, in my humble opinion, of recovering this trend line and continuing higher. And if that's the case, then again, we'll just keep our emotions out of this. We'll keep as objective as possible, and we'll continue to push this trade until it becomes unreasonable to do so. Raoul Pal summarizes it beautifully here, okay? You've got to love crypto plus leverage. All that happens is you get liquidated, and you get liquidated again. What is wrong with people? Leverage in a 70-volt asset is a ticket to bankruptcy. Spot and chill is the way, okay? For most of you, you're not advanced. For most of you, you're not experts. You should not be trading leverage on cryptocurrency, okay? There's nothing wrong with spot and chill. And if you can just humble yourself and say, I'm going to buy some spot and chill, you're probably going to do a lot better than just continuously getting liquidated on these moves by FOMOing in at the top. The last thing I want to say on this, okay, is all month, many people probably sat there and thought about how much money they could have made leverage trading, and then they only decided to pull the trigger yesterday. Welcome to crypto. This is how it works. Now, of course, as always, I want to try and stay optimistic and positive. I'm going to bring you a piece of silver lining in this dark grey cloud in the short term. You are not alone, okay? You can see here, huge number from liquidations in cryptocurrency in the past 24 hours. Way too many people FOMO bought the top, and way too many people did so on leverage. But the good news is, like I said, every cloud has a silver lining, and we know what time it is, okay? Especially if you've been here before, we've seen a bunch of these, I've presented a bunch of these. This is the infamous Dalai lama pattern. It is a mu shape, it is a liquidation cascade, followed by, as you can see here, a mu pattern, which is, if you know your Greek alphabet, the letter mu, and off we go. Now, it seems to me like we're already close to doing that. If I hop into a Bitcoin chart, you can see that here. Beautiful Dalai Lama in the making, okay? Just like we saw at the GBP. We were also talking about this in the live stream. I said it would be perfectly normal and to be expected to get just shy of the all-time high, have a flush out, then perhaps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 daily candles, and we get through on the 5th, which is exactly what we saw in the Bitcoin GBP pair. So far, seems like that's exactly what we're doing. Also, channel OGs, right? People that put in the work, people that tune in every day and pay attention to the analysis, people that understand the work should have known what, okay? This is right in that timing band, 27, 28, 29, 30 for a half cycle low. What does the half cycle low function to do? Reset sentiment, flush out the excess leverage, and allow a runway to continue the remainder of the cycle to the upside. So all of this with a Dalai Lama our way out of here, probably do something like this, and then in time for that pullback into the 60-day cycle low, which is also the weekly cycle low. All of this makes sense if you were here, if you put in the work, if you kept your emotions out of it. Most of you knew this half cycle low was coming, and most of you know that Bitcoin is going to continue to do Bitcoin things. So as ever, we continue to stay unemotional, we continue to stay objective, we continue to let the charts tell us what to do and how to position, and we continue to take this thing one day at a time. So I want to flick through some charts, okay, because the charts are the truth, the charts do not lie. Yesterday we saw some big red candles in the stock market. So for now, we're still kind of roughly on track with my yellow squiggle. I don't want to go modifying it yet because I think it's not going to be far from expectation. The NASDAQ, as you can see, has moved down. Maybe this is the start of a continuation to the downside, or maybe this thing is going to continue to run to the upside. Either way, we're going to find out, right? We'll let the market prove it to us. The Dow Jones, as I said yesterday on Twitter, was firing early warning signs. I posted that here. I also said I choked my stop loss up, which is the red dashed line, further. And we'll let the stop do the worrying, okay? If indeed we turn around today and recover the trend line, then we'll keep pushing along. However, if we start to see something like this and I'm stopped out, well, I'll be more than happy to lock in however many thousands of points that is between there and there. Russell 2K still looks pretty good, doesn't it? Still holding above support, still holding above the range. So we still continue to see breadth widen. Happy days there. Gold is continuing a long and strong. It's continuing to break out. We have got that daily cycle low for context. So at some point, this cycle is going to top and roll over into that daily cycle before resumption to the upside. But I honestly think that's an opportunity to add, not to worry about. Notice how the DXY still looking heavy, still looking like it wants to roll over. Tells us to keep an open mind about seeing that 3-year cycle low in the not too distant future for the DXY. And so I'm going to spend just a little bit of time going over these crypto related equities because I know, again, a bunch of people were interpreting this move as a crash, right? And like the end of the world or whatever. Look, if you're over leveraged, take some size off. Okay, you should not be over leveraged. If you're wrong, if you're stopped out, you shouldn't be taking chunks out of your account. Okay, manage the risk. Be an adult about it. You know, you have to stay in the game by controlling and managing the risk. What do you see? Because I see a first angle in red, a second angle in red, and a third angle in blue. Now, it's up to you whether you want to take a chunk off here and look to rebuy at the cycle low. For now, it's still above support in blue, so I'm going to continue to push it. I did not take a chunk off here, okay? And a lot of people had a problem with that. This is the irony of the situation, actually. When I did this, when I showed that this was an area to take some profit off, and I deliberately didn't. And then when we got this big pullback, loads of people were calling me stupid for not taking profit. And I said, no, it's fine. This was the plan all along. I want to stack another position. I want to double my exposure without taking any additional risk. And then we'll have twice as much exposure going into the next leg up. And now finally we've got into this neighborhood. And I'm talking about, again, locking in some gains and potentially sitting on the side ready to build a bigger position out of that next cycle low. And suddenly people have a problem with that, right? So you can see how overly emotional this market is. You can see how unprofessional and inexperienced this market is. All the while we are above the support, I do think it's reasonable to continue pushing along. And I don't think it's the end of the world if we did get a breakdown of this trend line and you don't sell, right? I don't think it's the end of the world if you do this, but there's certainly nothing wrong with paying yourself, okay? There's nothing wrong with paying yourself because if this happens, there's nothing to say this doesn't come next, right? Just because you think it's going to go up forever does not mean it's going to go up forever. So for now, all the while it's above the blue, I have no problem pushing this. Kind of the same with MicroStrategy. This line is a bit absurd, okay? This is a bit vertical, but all the while we're above it, then it's still in an uptrend. It's still holding structure. I do think I put much more weight on this upward sloping blue line here, so much more reasonable angle. So we'll see, right? For now, again, we're just going to take our time, see what happens. I've kind of already done that to death. Riot, still rocking with two positions. This is showing relative weakness. So it should be now or never, right? It's backfilled its gaps from back here. So maybe that's enough, right? Maybe it's done enough. Maybe it continue higher and we'll see what the market will give. Maybe though, this has got a bit more chopping around before it gets to that next 60-day cycle low for Bitcoin. Marathon, so we're still above the range break, which is the blue box, right? We've got our first angle in red, our second angle in blue. All the while we're above that, okay? It's hard to make an argument that this thing isn't bullish. So all the while we're above that, I have no qualms with continuing to push this trade higher. If we do chop around in here, something like this, and then we get to that 60-day cycle low, I'll be interested in adding a second position again and seeing what the market will let me have. So overall, as you can see, right, nothing really happened. I mean, yeah, we got a shakeout. Yeah, the leverage got flushed. But is it not just a huge Dalai Lama pattern that is about to come into fruition? Are we not about to see this thing repeat once more? Is Bitcoin not about to just continue to do Bitcoin things like we saw with the GBP, right? For those of you that weren't overly emotional, for those of you that were paying attention, nothing is out of the ordinary here. We're probably going to finish the week and the weekend at all-time highs for Bitcoin in USD. We've flushed the leverage, we've flushed the sentiment, we've flushed the rookies out. So the path of least resistance is now up, in my humble opinion. Like I said, we found that half cycle low. All the crypto-related stocks are holding above critical supports, right? And the stock market possibly going to continue higher after its shakeout as well. So overall, long and strong continue to push, continue to take this thing one day at a time. I will say this, and it's really important for everyone, right? We've seen nothing yet. This volatility is nothing yet. The emotions are nothing compared to what they're going to be. The euphoria, the greed is nothing compared to what it's going to be, right? If you're struggling now to keep a level head, if you're, name calling and stuff, you don't have time, okay? You don't focus on what is going on. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Don't mess it up. Okay, you haven't got time to be on Twitter sending screenshots to people. You haven't got time to be telling people you're better than them, or they were right or they were wrong. Okay, focus on nailing down your gains. I also get a large number of people reach out to me and ask me, what's the odds of a recession or a depression or a massive crash? And my answer is always the same. Like, I think we're probably going to get a recession, but, okay, let's focus on nailing down the gains first. Okay, we've got a massive, potentially huge parabolic blow off top advance in stocks, in commodities, and in Bitcoin, and possibly even altcoins, even though I'm not an altcoin guy, right? The reality is, it looks like I'm getting more and more invalidated by the day on my altcoin idea. It looks like a lot of altcoins are probably going to do well, and that's fine, right? That's absolutely fine. All I'm focusing on is, can I nail down the gains, okay? Let's nail down the gains. Let's get underneath the squeezes. Let's ride the trades as high as we possibly can, and let's walk away with the bulk of the move, okay? We don't have to get the exact top. We don't have to get in at the exact bottom. Let's just take some money from the market, okay? This is a zero-sum game. People have to lose for people to win. It's not noble stuff. The reality is, if you treat this thing like a business, okay, you're going to take money off of people that don't treat it like a business. If you are here nailing down profits when people are telling you you're stupid for selling a parabola violation, okay, look, if you weren't so stupid, we wouldn't be so rich. That's how it is, okay? So please consider what I've been saying. Please check your ego and emotion. And believe me, multiply what we're seeing over the last few days, weeks. Multiply that by 1,000. You're not even close to when we get above 100k Bitcoin, okay? It's going to be absolutely absurd. It's going to be one of the most toxic, horrible places you've ever seen in your life. And again, 90% of the money is going to be made by 10% of market participants. So if you want to stay on the right side, focus, okay? I feel like I've done this to death. I hope you can appreciate the value in what I'm saying. I speak here not to be condescending or patronizing, not to suggest I'm the best in the world and you're all trash. That's not it, right? I say this as Uncle Camel, someone who has a lot more years of experience than you, someone that is so competent in their trading. They show you every one of their positions called out ahead of time, okay? How many other people could do that? Would you do that? If we're honest, would you do that? No, you probably wouldn't. So please think about what I said, okay? Please stay humble. If you don't humble yourself, the market will do the humbling for you. I'm your boy Camel. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week. I hope you're doing well in life. And until next time, take care from me. God bless. Bye.